But where it becomes unhealthy is like, cool, I'm going to compensate, and I'm going to just butcher this movement in order to get more weight. And I'm actually going to have a mechanical breakdown in order to fulfill my ego.
Orthorexia. Can you explain that?
Essentially, it's being addicted to health to the point that it actually creates dis-ease.
What does it look like?
Someone that's maybe overly, excessively scrupulous with the way that they eat, to the point that they're blocking themselves from doing things that would actually create joy in their lives. So like the person that's got all of their food in a little Tupperware container, and they don't go out to eat in a certain place because maybe they don't want the energy of the restaurant person to like be poured onto their food, and I'm going to eat exactly 1,752 calories each day. And it's just like, ugh, like, bro, relax.
What about fitness? How does that play into this? Like how somebody
like body dysmorphia would probably fall into that category, I'd imagine. Body
dysmorphia, and then also like overtraining.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, overtraining. Yeah, just being like obsessed with health to the point that you kill it. You do that with parenting. You could be such a good parent that you're like helicopter parent. You're like, bro, you're hurting your child. It's like violence.
Do you think there is like a chemical response? Like for instance, you'd say probably more cortisol.
Yeah, you generally would be. Again, I don't know like what the data on this would be exactly, but yeah, generally a person in that scenario or disposition would likely be more activated with more regularity. So it's hard for them to like Netflix and chill. It's hard. Probably their vision, I would presume, would be more emphasized towards like the myopic lens, where you're like really like focused. Probably their breathing pattern would be more up in their like upper chest, breathing kind of more with their shoulders and such, in more of like a stressed state. And then all the correlating neurochemicals and hormones would coincide with that.
But then on the other side of that, you can't be a lazy, you can't just be
everything's nuanced, man.
Yeah. It's just, by the way, I've seen someone with, I didn't even know the term until I'd heard you say it. But I've seen someone with orthorexia, and it was like nauseating, actually. They're a CrossFitter. There's a lot of it that develops out of CrossFit.
It's all compensation, man.
So CrossFit is one of those spaces where it is so effective in the way that it brings about intensity to training. And that is the line which I'm going to draw its effectiveness and efficacy, because I feel like there are many issues with it, just like there's many issues with other methodologies, but I feel like it is incredibly effective at taking someone and teaching them how to work hard.
Yeah.
And then
it creates team camaraderie.
And, I just remember like,
it's not the working hard, it's the working hard together. That's the reason that the model of CrossFit was so obscenely successful.
Well, I think when I look at the orthorexic person, I don't think they give a shit about team. I think they're more just like totally wrapped up in this feeling that they got. Like, for instance, there's this workout called DT. Have you heard of this? It's 12 deadlifts, 9 hang power cleans, and 6 shoulder to overhead, like 6 jerks or 6 push presses, and 5 rounds of that. And so if you do that really fast, like really, really fast, you can do that in, under 10 minutes, and some people under 5 minutes. That is however many reps, however many pieces of volume for the average person to do that in under 10 minutes, when in all regularity at that weight, like without the pushing, without the situation, that person probably would have taken 3-4 times as long. That's, more intensity, working harder. And that's a great thing to be exposed to, the potential that you can work harder. What I saw was this person just continuing to just stack more of that on. If I did not reach this level of difficulty, this feeling of dying while I'm working out, it is not effective.
I think oftentimes a person that has that deep, insatiable yearning to feel pain likely probably has some issues around feeling in general.
That's the same thing.
So it's like hard to feel. And so probably at some point, that person, I like for me, I'm presently, full disclosure, like seeing a therapist and working on all sorts of childhood. And so my mind is very, in that realm. So I apologize if I'm going too much into all that.
No. That's this, because it would be a shame if you didn't go down that route, because that's essentially what all of this is.
Yeah. Well, that's why I became obsessed with bodybuilding as a kid. I went from being 100 and something stupid, 140 pounds or something, terribly crooked teeth, really awkward, misaligned bowl cut that my mom, bless her heart, would do for me. Parted down the middle, Dawson's Creek was like my thing, which now he lives out here. He actually became kind of not a friend, but like we know each other. I did a transition from there into becoming obsessed with bodybuilding and obsessed with counting my calories. And I was quote unquote feeding, which I think is a weird term to apply to eating. Every 2 hours, I'd have all of the protein smoothies and all the creatines and all the things. And I would just keep training all the time. And I put on 70 pounds in a matter of like a year and a half, 2 years. It's just like, whoosh. So the combination of the steroids that I was experiencing through puberty, like the endogenous steroids, with just being obsessive, changed everything real quick. It was good, but I was incredibly imbalanced, and I didn't address any of the reasons. Like, what was the catalyst from the first place of like, why do I need to experience validation from other people in the form of, okay, you're big enough?
What's really weird is like, I never had that moment where I was like, I needed that validation, because I got that validation through literal just sports, athletics.
You still yearn for the validation.
Now I'm getting it. Yeah, is what I'm saying. It's like now I'm going through that phase.
Like a latent pattern.
Yes. It's like a delayed, like yours happened in puberty. A lot of people
delayed onset insecurity.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it. We made it
because you didn't have that. That's what a relationship is. So you have a relationship with your YouTube following and other people's YouTube followings. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
So you have right now what you're experiencing is there's a doorway into you actually healing your shit. There was a latent pattern that you never realized was there. Now you engage with this relationship. Typically it's with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. That's the thing that really peels the heart open. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was a thing. And if people listening don't resonate with that, they don't really like get that, it's just because you haven't gotten into that yet.
Yeah.
Like it will happen.
That's really wild. So it is.
It's the most healing thing.
Yeah.
In order to heal your shit, you need to have your face pressed up against it and you're just like, oh, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
That's the only way to heal.
Yeah.
And that's the literal translation of, I just had Gabor Mate on my podcast like a couple weeks ago.
No way.
He
was on Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've done, I think like, I don't know, several with Gabor over the years. And he, in his book, The Myth of Normal, he breaks down a lot of this stuff, and he's really big on language. And one of the things that he shared with me is that the original meaning of vulnerable is like to be woundable, like to be able to be wounded. Trauma means wound, and the only way to actually heal is to be courageous enough to be vulnerable. You need to be willing to take arrows in order to actually be able to purge the shit from the past. If you're always shielded up, you're shielded from the outside, but you're also shielded from the inside. And you will just stew. And you will keep on being driven by these old subconscious patterns that probably happened sometime in your childhood, and you won't realize it, and you'll call it, what's that? There's a quote from somebody, but something along the lines of like you're until you make the unconscious conscious, you'll be driven by the unconscious, and you'll call it fate.
Sounds like Freud.
I don't know.
He always talks about the unconscious.
We look it up. Yeah, the big unconscious guy.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's in like that realm is talking about the unconscious. So I don't know. But that's the thing. Like you gotta hurt. You need to hurt if you want to heal. If you don't care about becoming a better person, becoming more at ease with yourself, and that ties back into physiological translations of being stuck in a chronically kind of like anxious state.
I also think that orthorexia, I mean, it's from my perspective, the issues that males deal with as far as body image is palpable because I'm a male and most of my audience is male.
Yeah.
But
palpable to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's always been a disparity with body image and women. And I feel like the orthorexia thing, I've seen it manifested in women a lot. But honestly, now that I think about it, like, yeah, more so in women. And I swear to God, man, CrossFit is where I saw a lot of it.
Yeah, because it's so embarrassing, dude. I have a background doing manual therapy. So different manual therapy means like hands-on body work, use my elbows or knuckles or hands or whatever to get people's bodies better. And at one point I had an office in the, I think it's called LA CrossFit. It was like one of the first like 10 CrossFits in the world or something. And that was my original, it was in Los Angeles, obviously. That was my original introduction to really like being in CrossFit. Cause I was, working with some people from there, and I would like take some classes just to kind of have the experience. And I found it so shameful to look up at the board and see like the weights that I did or whatever. And I'd be like I have this story that if I'm not the strongest person or the fastest person or the most whatever thing, then that hits on parts of me where I'm like, I don't feel good.
Well, I think that is competitive.
There's healthy aspects.
Right.
But where it becomes unhealthy is like, cool, I'm going to compensate and I'm going to just butcher this movement in order to get more weight. And I'm actually going to have a mechanical breakdown in order to fulfill my ego.
Oh, that is
CrossFit.
I call that,
there's a big chunk of CrossFit.
I call that
the problem.
Yep.
Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that, press here for the full length episode.